Polina, how are you?
I'm good. Sorry, I'm looking at beach towels on Amazon Prime Day. But looks like some of them, like the nice towels aren't on the Prime.
What's going on with the euro?
Okay. For the first time in 20 years, the exchange rate between the euro and the US dollar has reached parity, meaning that the two currencies are worth the same. The euro hit $1 on Tuesday, down about 12% since the start of the year. Yeah, the euro is always like more valuable than I can't speak today.
The euro is more valuable than the dollar. The dollar has been strengthening. Somebody like a Brent Johnson, who has been talking about the dollar milkshake theory, is looking very smart right now, where the dollar is strengthening against a whole basket of other fiat currencies. And of course, the dollar and the euro, now when they reach parity, there's all kinds of jokes in there. Does that mean the euro is now a stable coin? Does that mean the peg is breaking? Maybe you could even say, does that mean that the euro is a shit coin? It's go on and on and on. But at the end of the day, what we are seeing is a dollar that's strengthening and a euro that is weakening on a relative basis. And bam, you hit the crossover right at $1.
Sorry, just really quick. David from the YouTube comment said, happy 1-year anniversary, Best Business Show.
Yeah, that is. Is that today?
Yes, it's been 1 year.
Oh, that is today. Oh, yeah, somebody, a very nice person. I don't know if I'm supposed to say who it is or not. Can I say it? Oh, all right. Well, I respect people's privacy around here. Jordy, who is one of the people who is a fantastic video when it goes out. It's either Jordy or Matt. One of the two of them cut it. So I see you guys in the chat every single day. Y'all see them in there. Jordy or Matt, one of the two cut it. Jordy's mother, shout out Jordy's mom, sent what do you call it?
A cookie cake.
Cookie cake.
Thank you so
for
much.
1 year.
We've all been enjoying it.
I have not eaten it yet. But maybe I'll dive in afterwards. I didn't want to get what do they call it? Frosting on my teeth. I come in here looking like I got green teeth.
But yes.
You know who has great teeth?
Who?
Kevin Hart.
Oh my God, stop talking about Kevin Hart's teeth. Okay, so anyway.
I tell Plato that all the time. You know who's got great teeth? Kevin Hart.
So the dollar and the euro. So why is this important at all?
Well, because the dollar is strengthening and the euro is weakening. This is also happening in other currencies as well. But this one in particular, in 20 years, they have not been at parity. And so it's just showing that the U.S., at the end of the day, even though it has high inflation, even though it has all these issues, there are still enormous demand for U.S. dollars on a global basis. And on a relative basis, you can see that people prefer the dollar over some of these other fiat currencies, at least in the short term. That could change. It could reverse. It could go sideways, whatever. But right now, we definitely are seeing that the U.S. dollar is, if you look at the euro, people want dollars more than euros because you're seeing the euro weaken and the dollar go ahead and strengthen.
Cool.
All right, what's up with Bill Ackman?
Bill Ackman raised $4 billion in the biggest ever SPAC, special purpose acquisition company, told investors he would be returning the sum after failing to find a suitable target company to take public through the merger. So SPACs are basically these like vehicles that you invest money in, and then Bill Ackman or such an investor goes out and picks a target to acquire into the SPAC. But it looks like he didn't find one.
That's a great description. That's exactly what happens.
Anthony.
That was a SPAC 101.
But it's just so interesting to me because, like, I guess SPACs, people have to trust the investor because you have no idea what he's going to buy.
So there's a couple of things that are worth discussing here. The first is your description of a SPAC is exactly how it works. Investors put the capital in. They have an investor or a manager who's supposed to go out with their team, find something, but they have to come back to the shareholders and get it approved. Right, so the shareholders basically, it's almost like you get kind of an option and then there's a shareholder vote.
So there's like a vote, okay.
And either it gets approved or it doesn't. Now, there's a timeline, and I forget the exact time. It's a year or 3 years, whatever it is, where once they put the money in, you have a shot clock. And if you don't get a deal done, you got to give the money back.
Yeah.
So what ends up happening is these investors who, in Bill Ackman's case, is $4 billion sitting there. He's doing work. Him and his team, they're working. They're looking at companies. They're trying to figure out which one should we acquire, all this stuff. At the end of the day, they're not going to make a ton of money because they're going to give the cash back. Now, kudos to them for giving the cash back, right? They couldn't find something. Great. I don't know if they ran up against the timeline or they just did it out of the kindness of their heart, probably timeline, but they are giving the money back. The second thing that I would say is there is a strong argument that actually, depending on the performance of the stock, it may have been better to have put your cash in, not had a deal get done, and then just get your cash back, given that the market is down so significantly since the beginning of the year.
That's crazy.
Well, it depends on kind of all of, what else would you have invested in, all of that. But like in some ways, this ended up being a great investment because you just didn't have exposure to, let's say, a business that was acquired by a SPAC and then went down 70%. That just means you lost 70% of your money, right? So there's some maybe some sunshine or some optimism in this story, but still, obviously, people invested because they wanted to go find a company. Bill Ackman and his team definitely wanted to go find a company, and so they weren't able to do that. That's okay.
Yeah. So typically, a SPAC, you have to buy the company between 18 and 24 months, and then it says that he had initially planned for the SPAC to take a stake in Universal Music Group last year when these investment vehicles were all the rage, but ended up not.
Yeah, I think there was some issues in terms of, I can't remember if it was a regulation. There was something that happened, but he was definitely going after Universal was one of the targets.
Do you want to invest in my SPAC? Oh. And then I will go acquire something on Amazon Prime Day. And you won't know what it is.
No. What's going on with Peloton?
All right.
Peloton has a great product, by the way.
Peloton will stop making its own bikes. Not a great product. Its own bikes and treadmills. A drastic change for the struggling company aimed at cutting costs and ensuring its ability to remain afloat. Peloton is really struggling.
This is the new CEO part of their plan?
Yes.
And my guess is that by doing this, they believe they can get more efficiency and lower cost bikes out to the market. At the end of the day, Peloton doesn't want to be a hardware manufacturer. You don't get the highest multiple. You don't get all the benefits of claiming you're a technology company. Like there's a bunch of challenges when you have the hardware component. And so we've seen a ton of businesses who have a hardware component trying to, over time, go and transition into more of a software-based business. Peloton, one of their big revenue sources, or at least what they believe is going to be a huge driver of future growth, is they have a digital subscription, if I remember correctly. I don't know what the numbers look like on that digital subscription business, but that's been a huge focus of theirs, is just get that subscription revenue going. Now, a huge part of driving subscription revenue was you had to sell the bikes, you had to sell the treadmills, but they were trying to also basically say, just get the Peloton app. You don't even need our hardware. Right. We can do classes.
They have like yoga and bar and weightlifting.
So at the end of the day, this is less like a shock to the market. I think this is just a continuation of all these hardware companies trying to become as software-based as possible. Also, though, when you get a new CEO that comes in, it's easier to kind of rip the Band-Aid off, right? Because you can basically just step into a business and say to yourself, all right, where are we struggling? Where are we not? Fresh eyes, rip the Band-Aid off, make the changes now. That usually includes layoffs, that includes hiring initiatives, that includes things like, hey, we're going to get rid of the hardware and just outsource it now. All these things the market is much more accepting of on day one or early on in a new CEO's role, because they expect things to change when a new CEO comes in.
Well, but I think that it's smart to bring everything kind of in-house, and especially if that cuts costs. But I'm guessing if they're going to make their own hardware, it's going to increase like wait times.
If they make their own.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's been one of the big problems, I think, is when COVID happened, people were forced at home. So what do? If you're forced at home, you still want to work out. Then naturally, you either you live in an apartment building with a gym, but a lot of those even got shut down. You can sneak outside and go for a run. You can do push-ups, whatever. There was a gentleman who ran a marathon on his little balcony. There's all that type of stuff that we saw people doing. But at the end of the day, what people really want is they want to have a piece of a machine, right? And that could be a rowing machine, that could be a bicycle, that could be a treadmill, whatever. And so Peloton was a huge winner from that because people saw sales exploding upwards. They saw the hardware and the software getting put together, vertical integration they were bragging about, and they got it out in the market. What people realized over time, though, is like how big of a audience is there for this. And if you look at the hardware sales, that part of the business is way less exciting than the digital subscription. So now if they can just do digital subscriptions, then we're off to the races. What are you doing?
Is my shirt on backward? I just realized, what is this? No. Okay. Guys, today is not Monday. It's Tuesday. It's just all over the place. Facebook.
Welcome to my life. I love my wife.
Facebook may be infamous in helping usher in like this era of like fake news and whatever, but now Meta, Facebook's glow up company, is trying to combat fake news by creating this like tool called Sphere. It's very interesting. I watched a video on it. It's really cool. It's automatically scanning entries to identify when like things are strongly or weakly supported. Its first user is Wikipedia. So basically, it'll tell you if a claim is strongly supported by research on the internet or weakly supported, and it's just gonna, help with accuracy purposes.
So I have two reactions. The first is the whole idea of truth is highly debatable around a lot of different topics. So you can sit there and you can say to somebody, did X happen? And you take two people who both experience the same data, synthesized it, and they come to two different conclusions.
Okay, but this is not that.
Well, hold on a second. Peleton and I recently were talking about there's a study, it's an academic study, where a professor in the beginning of his course, I think it's like on the first day, he's standing up in front of hundreds of students, and he has a actor or former student, whatever, a TA, run in the room and rob him and then run out of the room. And then he says, everyone stop right now and write down what just happened. Describe the perpetrator. And so everyone writes it down. And what you get is some people are like, oh, person was 5'7". Another person's like, that person was 6'2". That person was white. That person was Hispanic. Like they all write down different kind of descriptions of the events and of the person. And the study is to show that even with eyewitness accounts, there can be variety in people who all saw the same thing, but their recollection of it could be off. And so that to me is one of the inherent problems with these things.
You're talking about eyewitness accounts. I'm talking like facts.
But
I forget
if the eyewitnesses can't all agree on the facts of what happened in front of them,
but
how does a piece of AI do it all the time? Now, there are some things for sure, like what's the date? That should be pretty easy for them to do.
Not just that, like it scours through studies that maybe people haven't read, like encyclopedias, like things like that, where yes, like I forget who said it. There's a great quote. It's like there's three sides to every story: yours, mine, and the truth. But I actually really like this because if you use Wikipedia or anything like that, and you want to check the sources, you can go down to the footnote section. But this does it for you in that it scours the whole internet and then it tells you like, hey, it's widely supported or not that widely supported. I think that's helpful. It's not saying this is the only
I think
truth.
that these are very important. I think we'll see many more companies or projects come out and try to build similar types of things. The big question, though, is can they get it right? Because it's a very hard technical problem. And it's not just technical in nature. It's also the elements of if people don't agree on eyewitness accounts, how does that piece of technology
No, but exactly. If there was an AI in that room, forget all the eyewitness accounts. The AI is like, this is exactly what happened. He was 5'7", he was whatever. Yes, that is the
algorithms. Have you ever seen? Just Google real quick for a second.
No.
Just Google the story about there was an algorithm that I think was doing facial recognition, and people said that it was discriminating.
I'm sure,
if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And the whole idea was it wasn't because somebody sat down and was like, let's write an algorithm that discriminates. It was learning. It's machine learning, and so it was learning over time how to do all this stuff. And people basically came back and said, hey, we have work to do. Not that we should all stop using this technology, but there's obviously problems we should go.
Well, because the AI is built by a human who is also inherently biased.
Can I call out one thing, though, that's changed in the last 15 years or so? When I was in high school, you weren't allowed to cite Wikipedia.
True.
You were not, like that was looked down on. Now
Wikipedia has grown so much.
Yeah, now it's like, oh, of course, Wikipedia may be the best source. But when I was in even middle school, high school, like that was not a cool source to use.
See, for me, when I was in high school, they said you can use Wikipedia as long as you use the footnote section and go to the original source.
Well,
if the original source is bad, don't use it, obviously, guys.
We were still covering the keyboard trying to do typing class, so it makes sense that by the time you got there, they were like, yeah, Wikipedia, no problem. I'm pretty sure also one of the big issues with Wikipedia, when was Wikipedia founded? One of the big problems was that it was really easy to change stuff.
Yeah, I don't think
at the
it's
time.
so easy anymore. Wow.
So yeah, in January of 2001, it began as a side project to allow collaboration on articles prior to entering the peer review process. And then eventually it launched 11 January 2001, or that's when the name was suggested, Wikipedia. And so
it used to be Newpedia.
Like literally Wikipedia was created while I was in middle school. Like I think in September of 2001, that's 9/11, I was in 8th grade.
I was still in like 5th.
Yeah, well, that's because you're younger. So by the time I got to high school the next year, they were like, what is this thing? This thing isn't even a year old yet.
Yeah, crazy.
All right, what's going on with James Webb? I can't wait to talk about this.
All right, the James Webb Telescope has produced the deepest and sharpest infrared image of the distant universe to date. So each of these little dots that you see on the screen right now are galaxies. So just like the Milky Way, every single one of those is a separate one. So that means that there's like planets, like other things that circle around, like, or that are part of this galaxy.
What do you think about this?
What did I tell you last night that I think about it?
Yeah,
That's what I think about it. So I think it's really cool. I think it's absolutely amazing. But my biggest problem with this is that we have the sharpest imagery of things in the past, of galaxies far, far away, yet we can't get a non-blurry picture of a baby in the womb. Like,
that is what you said.
Literally, they make the babies look like alien cats, and they are basically, there's like one tiny barrier between you and the baby. How is that possible?
That's what you thought of when you saw the
is
James
literally my
Webb
first
Telescope,
thought.
one
My
of the
first and only
greatest
thought.
technology inventions in the last 20 years.
Let's invent something else first, and then we can talk James Webb.
Well, the telescope, I found it interesting. They started building it in 1996, and it was supposed to go live in 2006, about a decade or so, and it was going to cost $500 million. In 2005, a year before it was supposed to launch, they completely redesigned the whole thing, kicked it out again. It was finally finished in 2016. In 2016, they then, from 2016 to December of 2021, they tested it. Extensive testing is what I was reading about. And then they launched it December of 2021, and we just got the first photos now in July. Guess the cost of, it was supposed to be $500 million. How much do you think they spent total to get this thing launched? That was like a great guess, like 9.7, 9.8 billion. When you think about just, it took 2.5 times longer, it took 20 times the money to get it launched, but we still get that great photo. That's pretty cool. But my general take is, although yes, I agree, we should get better pictures of wombs.
Of babies.
Of babies. This makes humans feel so damn insignificant.
Right, I know.
Like, that is a picture of light from billions of years ago. Billions. Not 1 year, not 10 years, not 100, not 1,000, not 100,000, not 1,000,000 years.
Oh gosh, we're all gonna be gone one day.
Billions of years ago.
Oh God.
Oh no.
Oh God.
Yeah,
So somebody-
people get like, ooh.
Somebody said, in the comments, they said, it is because the baby does not emit light. That's why we can't get it.
It's very astute analysis. All right, the audience is smart. Last thing I'll say, you know what else that photo proves?
What?
There's definitely aliens out there, 100%.
How does that prove anything?
Are you kidding me? Look at that. You're telling me that of billions and billions and billions and billions of years, all those different galaxies and planets and stars, all that stuff, there ain't nothing else talking shit like
I can't
us?
believe that we're aliens to the aliens, you know?
Oh, damn. Are you high right now? We're aliens to the aliens.
My mind
That's why y'all tune in every single
We are
day.
aliens
All
to
right,
the
thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
coming on.
Fellow UFO.
Well,
Here's the cake.
happy first birthday to the Best Business Show. There we go.
amazing.
By the way, just so
Yes.
we're clear, UFOs are not aliens. It's a nuance,
God.
but it is an important one. The
Well,
UFOs are unidentified flying
That's
objects.
exactly what I wanted to call you in a UFO.
All right.